Welcome to 2023's Alpha Arts Close to Home exhibition. I'm here with Teriz, and we will be going over some questions about her work so far. So if you could tell me a little bit about the works you have submitted and that will be up on the walls very soon.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I submitted my abstract paintings, which are oil, acrylic, and mixed media paintings. And I relatively recently switched over to abstract art, and I consider myself now an abstract artist after having been a representational artist for a long time. So I'm really excited about this show and about showing my abstract work in particular.
Very cool, very cool. Could you tell me what your journey to becoming an artist was like?
Sure. So it started in Egypt as a child. I have two much older brothers, and to kind of keep me out of their hair, my mom would sit me down next to her while they were studying and doing their homework and give me a piece of paper and some crayons, and I would get consumed and really enjoy the process of making art. So when we immigrated to the US, I continued to practice art in school, and one of my teachers noticed that I had a gift, and I would be pulled out of regular classroom to go into what was called a special art classroom, where it was a small group of gifted artists, and they had the freedom to work on any art project they wanted to work on, which eventually led me to go into a magnet art program in high school, where I would spend half a day in my high school and then half a day at New Jersey City University to take college level art courses, which then led me to go to School of Visual Arts on a scholarship for art.
Wow, that is very amazing how your trajectory really just changed so quickly. Would you say then your family kind of had a major influence on your journey? Does anybody else in your family kind of have an artistic journey as well?
Not in my immediate family, but my mom comes from a family that really appreciates the arts, whether it's visual arts or music. And she definitely encouraged it, always looking at it more as a hobby than as a career. I think the tension built up around my junior year of high school, when I was really considering art as a career path. And there was some resistance from family and from my community. And they would often make comments like, but you're too smart to go to art school. Or, but how will you make a living? Or art doesn't put bread on the table. And so within my Coptic community, where it was saturated with doctors and engineers and pharmacists and lawyers, I was definitely an exception, veering off that path and going into the arts. So it was a lonely journey. It wasn't an easy one, but it was a very fulfilling one, and I felt like I was responding to a calling at that time.
Very cool. And was there any other motivators to push through during this kind of lonely path? What kind of made you keep going?
Yeah, so there was a couple of things that made me keep going. Is just the pure joy of being able to express myself in a nonverbal way. I was a severe stutterer growing up, and so this was an outlet for me to have a voice that wasn't seen as uncomfortable by others, and that um, it didn't cause waves the way my verbal communication caused some waves. Also, it was very therapeutic, and I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. It definitely kept me busy, engaged, and safe. And it gave me a sense of community among other artists. And it was really nice to have that fellowship with other artists that were so committed and devoted to the creative process.
Wow, that is very amazing. I'm glad you were able to pull so many great qualities out of your journey to becoming an artist. Do you feel like there's any specific unique pieces about your voice as an artist?
I think not so much the pieces themselves, but I think my own journey of how I approached my art and my relationship to the art, and how art reflected certain stages of my life. It makes each piece truly unique and original and irreplaceable, and can't replicate that because it reflects a special point in time. And it's very difficult to reproduce all the variables that contributed to creating that specific piece. Um, my art has been affected, for example, by my motherhood. Uh, After becoming a mother, my art changed. The way I approached it, the way I practiced art, the way I viewed art, how I used art changed. And then my relationship with God also affected art. And specifically in understanding that God was a father to me and that he had adopted me. And so that identity as a child gave me a lot of freedom in how I create my art, and the sense of abandon and liberty that I had in just being playful and being transparent and vulnerable while creating art, specifically in the abstract work. And then there was another stage in working with iconography and the narration and the storytelling aspect of iconography, and working within a specific set of principles, but also bringing my unique perspective into it, and finding that balance between um, preserving, the traditions and the visions of those that have come before me, while also contributing my own into the process.
Very cool. So kind of almost building upon the past and reinvention as well, and connecting those ties is really important in your work, you'd say?
Yes, exactly. It's that connection to the self, to the past, to the community, and the spiritual connection to the divine. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly that. It's about relationship and connection, the multidimensional aspects of connection and relationship in both
Gotcha.
tangible and non-tangible ways. Tangible in how you use the art supplies, and non-tangible in how you are connecting conceptually and spiritually and emotionally, artistically, socially, um, emotionally with others.
That's really great. I'm so happy to hear how you've really come into yourself and how your work has changed. Is there any other themes you are thinking of pursuing or that are different in your work that's going up at Alpha Art?
I think my next stage is going to continue to explore uh, my identity and my position as a child of God, and just continuing to let that evolve and mature. But also, the next stage is going to include different materials connecting the past with the present, the type of paper that I will use. I'm starting to move away from canvas and exploring other materials to paint on, and how my relationship to the um, painting surface is going to affect the process. even when it comes to things like how you use your body when you're working on canvas is very different than when you're leaning over to work on paper. So taking into consideration my physical relationship to the artwork and how that informs the process.
Well, thank you so much for answering all my questions. I really had a great time getting to know you as a person and an artist. We are so excited as a representative of Alpha Art Gallery to have you in our 2023 Close to Home
Thank
show.
you.
Of course.
Thank you.